especially when given platforms as large as CNN. After the death of Alton Sterling and Donald Trump's ascension to the presidency, Don Lemon's politics seemingly changed, as did the tone of my work. At least we could laugh about it. Now anyway. I don't have a problem with directly facing any of the people whom I have criticized in my work. But the further along I have gotten in my career, some have stepped in to alert me that my words can cut deep enough to linger in ways that might hinder me professionally. A difference of opinion is fine by me, but not everyone feels that way. I got a call from someone in the entertainment industry worried about how the tone in my writing might impact my career beyond writing on the internet. She was worried about a tweet I had sent, one referencing something I had written about Lee Daniels, criticizing him over comments he made in an interview about Black homophobia. She didn't tell me not to have an opinion or not to express it, but to be mindful of how I expressed it. You're going to be in rooms with these people sooner than you think, Arceneaux. She was not telling me to abandon all my opinions, but suggested I consider the tone in which I articulated my frustrations with how some people speak or act. You know, before I potentially screw up a potential opportunity, one that could get me out of writing on the internet for the rest of my life. I accept that I was born opinionated and want to express my feelings as I see fit, but I don't necessarily want to make a living primarily writing about them in this dying medium forever. She knew my greater ambitions, hence the call. She was the same person that cautioned me against potentially embarrassing myself for crumbs on a reality show some years prior, so I couldn't dismiss her note outright. I deleted the tweet, but the essay would stay up as long as the site hosting it did. Shortly after my first book was released, I got an email from the head of Lee Daniels' production company asking about the rights to it. Shortly before the book was released, my friend Samantha had asked if she could send an advance copy to her TV agent. My response was immediate. Yes, and may God and Beyoncé's light forever shine upon thee. Jason, the agent, loved the book and wanted to work with me, but I had to level with him when I told him about the email. I definitely wrote some shit about him, so never say never, but let's see how that goes. I met with Lee while in Los Angeles for my book tour, and separately with Gerard Carmichael, who was also interested. And because life is so random, I was asked to try out for some Bravo show while I was in baggage claim. Not really a reality show, but kind of a panel show where men spoke about reality TV. I was told nice things about my last-minute audition, though I was ultimately not chosen. But I can confirm that Jerry O'Connell is a nice man who treated me with the sort of kindness I have come to learn is rarer than it should be. The show in question has already been canceled, but I could have used a check. As all of this was going on, I was desperately broke and waiting for a late check to pay my late rent. This major conglomerate that owned the publication I wrote for not only forgot to process my invoice, but also told me that they now had to issue me a paper check, which I had to have shipped to my hotel in order to cash it and avoid an eviction notice. After the check finally did arrive, I was able to walk into the meetings I actually came to LA for without that anxiety hovering over me. When an author allows someone to option their work for film rights, they have very little say in the adaptation. The kind of dramatization often required for Black films to be nominated and awarded could easily be pulled out of my story. But I was not interested in the prospect of an actress my mama didn't like tossing me into a trash can and lighting it on fire, as I ultimately grew up to fall in lust with someone who looked like a spicy white Jesus. You at least have hope and prayer if you want to write the television adaptation yourself, so I wanted that option. When I entered the production company's office for the meeting, the first thing I did was something wrong. I loved the polite look Lee gave me after I sat in his seat. Oh, I'm in the rich man's seat. Sorry, my mistake. Go on and sit in the commoner couch, Arceneaux. Lee was incredibly nice, especially when I got my ass out of his chair. His producing partner was also very nice. As expected, Lee, an Oscar-nominated director, initially wanted to make a film out of the book, but his producing partner convinced him that a TV show made more sense financially, for them and for me. My plan was to mention that I had written critically about him at some point. I felt he had a right to know. I would have liked to know if I were in his position. Besides, I had already watched people on social media announce they were working with someone whom they had dragged up and down the internet.